Hello, welcome to the Website Investing Show,
Hello.
Thursday edition of the live streams. Of course, every day my headphones won't work.
Can't
They
hear
work
anything.
fine from the music, and then as soon as we get to this, it doesn't work. Let's get it back again.
Any better?
Okay, I'm back. Cool. Welcome to the show. Who we got? Who we here already? We got Tony. We got Sam. We got Chris. We got Adrian. We got Mr. Bain. We got Wayne. We have Tim, Emily, and Leather Art Skip, who I don't remember them ever turning up before. Maybe they have, but welcome. So how you doing, Adam? I'll tell you what, this weather is having a positive effect on me. It's making me feel really happy now.
Yeah. It feels like a Friday because the weather's good.
It does feel like a Friday.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because when I wake up tomorrow and it is Friday, I'm like, oh, it's still another day, actually. So
yeah. I've been feeling like it's Friday most of the week, to be honest. Yeah, so nice. So nice, the weather. So I'm glad to have aircon, that's for sure, though.
Yes.
Cool. So today, well, let's not go to today's show. Let's talk about today's show. I'll mention what we're going to talk about in today's show. We're going to talk about zero search volume keyword research. We've got an awesome case study for you, which I'll let Adam share with you a little bit more. I won't go into any detail right now. Welcome, Sean, Carly, Daniel. But before we jump into that, do not, if you're new around here, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The more people subscribe, the more fun it becomes. If we get enough likes, we will end up, we've got to rename these. We so have to rename these. There you go. 35 likes, we get a giveaway. You either get a t-shirt or a mug, or what is the last thing? A cap, of course. A cap. Yeah. So if we get enough likes by the end of the show, then we'll give away some merch. We'll spin the wheel, do the draw.
We get enough mugs.
Mugs?
You said if we get enough mugs, we'll do a spin.
Did I say that?
Mugs on the brain now.
If we get enough likes, then then we'll do that. Guess the only thing to mention probably is if you missed. The overlay's gone now, I think. If you missed the Building Empires event, no, it's not. If you missed the Building Empire, it's a new one. I like this. We have a team. The team just updates the overlays, and you don't even know. So yes, so if you've we've already started promoting the second edition of the Building Empires event. So head over to second.empires.live. Free registration once again. It's going to be bigger and better this year. Though it's going to be 5 days. We're going to have workshops, a whole lot of other things. Hopefully, some kind of networking sessions as well. So it's going to be bigger and better. Also, head over to, if you missed the first event, which was earlier this month, then head over to first.empires.live, and you can register and still watch the replays of those videos if you would like. So enough of that. What are we going to talk about today, Adam?
Zero/low volume keywords, basically.
Yeah. Awesome. And case study, right? So it's not just theory, it's real.
It's a bit interactive. I've got some questions. I need people to put in the comments today, so it's a little bit more interactive than usual. I say a little bit more, like just a little bit more, but yeah. There's some guessing involved, which might be funny because I picked some interesting search terms.
How many guesses have we got? How many questions for guesses?
2 sets of 3.
2 sets of 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But as we go through it, any questions, pop them in the chat. Mark will keep an eye on the chat as I'm going through, and then he'll just pull them up as we go if anyone's got any questions. So
I will.
Without further ado, let's get into it, because I made a very snazzy presentation, and I included some GIFs. But when I uploaded the presentation to Restream, the GIFs don't work. So you'll have to use your imagination when the GIF pages come up, okay?
Before we jump on this, Carly, I'm glad you've been noticing. I've been meaning to go back and look at the first streams to see like how small it was. I know they've grown. I think this is a money plant, and then I guess that must be the one that you just said. Whatever it was, Pilea, yeah. But yeah, I need to give them a water, and they're getting a bit thirsty at the moment. But yeah, they have grown a lot. Do it.
Awesome. So Like we said, this is going to be like a bit of both. It's going to be first half is going to be about learning, and then the second half then is just going to be kind of what this looks like when put into practice with a case study. And the case study is 10 months old, 150,000 words of content, which is about 163 posts on a fresh domain. We'll see what some of the results are as we go through this. So, first up, this is the current stats of the domain of the case study that we're going to look at a little bit. I probably should have put this slide a little bit further on, but essentially it's 10 months old. You can see it's a DR 3.3, 128 referring domains now. There's been no active link building on this website. These have all kind of just been picked up naturally over the 10 months this site has been live. It's a UR of 8, trust flow 7, citation flow of 29, which is really high. But as we've mentioned on the stream before, like these third-party metrics on sites which are new and have low referring domains and low authority tend to be a little bit kind of out of whack. So take these metrics with a pinch of salt. I think the interesting thing to look at here is it was a fresh domain. 10 months later, started to pick up some links organically, but essentially there's been no active link building.
Yeah, and a lot of those links are just going to be crappy scraper type. 128 links for 3.3. He's not very good, so I guess there's a few real ones organically, but the others are just spammy crap.
The other thing to notice as well is just how off the organic traffic number can be sometimes in Ahrefs. So this says 4,000. Just keep that in mind when we get to the end, because it's way higher than 4,000 in reality when we look at Google Analytics. So this is just, I know we mentioned in our other streams that, usually it's 2 or 3 times higher than the traffic number in Ahrefs or SEMrush. In this case, it's more than 2 or 3 times higher. So yes, just a good thing to point out before we get into it.
Yeah.
So 0 search volume keywords, and I should pre-format this by saying is they're not all 0. There's 0/low volume search keywords. And by low, I mean kind of like 10 searches a month, 20 searches a month, that kind of thing, or 0. So what is that? That typically means they don't show up in Ahrefs or SEMrush and have low volume. So if you put a low volume keyword into Ahrefs, sometimes it'll be there and it'll show up as like 0 clicks, 0 searches a month, or 10 searches a month. Or sometimes it'll even come up and say this keyword is not in our database. So sometimes they're just literally not even in there. Typically, they're long tail question-based keywords, not always, but typically like a 0 search volume keyword is like a long tail, usually a question-based keyword. And often if you Google them, the results on the SERPs are forums. These can be niche specific if there's forums that cover that specific topic, like it could be a pet forum or something, or it could be a general forum like Quora or Reddit. Those kinds of almost like user-generated content websites. The other thing with 0 search volume keywords is that lots of people skip over them, meaning they're underserved topics. And basically, because the tools either don't show them, they're not in the tools, or someone sees them in the tools and thinks, I'm not writing a piece of content for a keyword that gets 10 searches a month. Lots of people just skip them. And that means, one, they're underserved because there's not a ton of people talking about them, but also the competition typically is really, really low because Google struggles to find the answers. That's why they put up forum-based SERPs in the results, because the best answer they can find is usually like 100-word user-generated answer on Reddit or Quora. And then the last point before we go further is there's opportunity here to cluster these together to create larger pieces of content. So just because you found a 0 search volume keyword, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to write a piece of content dedicated specifically to that keyword. If you can find lots of them that are related, you can cluster them together and group them together and use them as subheadings in the article, or basically use them throughout the piece of content. And we'll get onto the process of how we do that in a bit, but there's the opportunity to cluster them together and group these keywords together into long form content typically. So this is the first guessing game, and it's called, does it have volume? So let's play a game. What do you think the search volume for these 3 keywords are? So I picked out a really funny one. The first one is average age of Navy pilots. The second one is, do fighter pilots get hemorrhoids? And then, how old are fighter pilots? So put in the chat what And I've also pulled out the keyword difficulty score according to Ahrefs as well. Put in the chat what you think the search volume could be, monthly search volume according to Ahrefs for these 3 keywords. I'll show you what they are.
Without cheating, of course.
Yeah, without cheating. Don't go and do it.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a little bit while people put the things in the guesses in the chat.
Does it have volume? It's got a catchy name though.
It does.
For a game.
What do you think, Mark? What's your guesses?
Oh gosh, hang on. So my guess is average age of a Navy pilot. I don't know. I don't want to influence people, but I mean, not that I'm going to get anywhere near either. But I mean, yes, the average age of a Navy pilot. I reckon that could be quite high. So, well, high. I say high. I don't know actually, because it's only. Why would you put that average age? I don't know. That's probably pretty low. Like 10. Do fighter pilots get hemorrhoids? Fuck.
Really obscure.
I think that's like 10. And then how old are fighter pilots? That's going to be quite high. So that's going to be like 2000s.
Okay. Got a couple of guesses. So Mr. Bain says 10, 20, 500. Daniel says 100, 0, 250. So everyone thinks how old a fighter pilots are going to be the highest. And the
Eleanor's got hemorrhoids at 1,000.
The lowest.
And so I'm not even...
Wait, Eleanor thinks 1,000 people a month search for do fighter pilots get hemorrhoids. So I don't know about that one. Okay. So we have a look.
Let's see who's kind of closest.
Right. So according to Ahrefs, nobody searches for average age of Navy pilots. Nobody searches for do fighter pilots get hemorrhoids, and 10 people a month search for how old are fighter pilots, which is really surprising because you see that keyword difficulty score of 24, how old are fighter pilots. I should caveat that score, I think, is skewed slightly. And I also think the search volume is skewed slightly because when I was looking at this, when I pulled the presentation together, lots of the results on page 1 talked about the new Top Gun film.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that skewed the keyword difficulty score a little bit of 24 medium because there was news articles ranking around like Top Gun, and it also might mean that search volume is probably 0 typically, but it's gone up a little bit because of Top Gun.
I should have followed Adrian's lead because I should have thought about the topic of the sort of going 10, 1,000 and not having any that was 0, which was what most people did, to be fair.
It's called 0 search volume keywords. Like
I think Adrian was closest. He just got hemorrhoids and that wrong way around, but that's pretty close. Daniel also got 1 right. He got 0. But I should have thought about the topic of the presentation. So.
Right. Well, knowing this,
Adrian, you won that one.
Knowing that they're 0, 0, and 10, we're going to play another game now, which is more fun. And you can have a bit more fun with.
Is it? What's this one called?
Does it drive
clicks?
And it's called Does It Drive Clicks because I couldn't fit Does It Drive Clicks / impressions in the title nicely. But does it drive clicks or is it generating impressions in Search Console? So same terms, but do you think the same terms either sent clicks or had impressions? Because impressions suggest that people are searching for it, even if you aren't getting the click because you aren't high enough up in the results. So if you are position 10, but you got 180 impressions, it suggests that at least 180 people in the last 30 days have searched for that term because you've had the impression, right?
This is a difficult one to answer because we need to know what the website is. Because we need to know, it's going to be different for every website, right? The impressions you get is reliant on the website itself.
Yeah. Well, I get, yeah, I can see what you mean. The place I'm trying to go with this is Ahrefs show 0 search volume. How many impressions? Okay, let me rephrase the question. If a website was ranking on page 1, doesn't matter what position, on page 1 for each of these terms, how many impressions do you think it would have got? So that means, in my eyes, how many people per month do you think search for that? Because if you're on page 1, you would have got an impression.
Okay.
That's a better question. So not does it drive clicks, does it drive how many impressions did it drive? So let's have a guess. How many impressions do you think average age of Navy pilots had? Do fighter pilots get hemorrhoids and how old are fighter pilots?
I still think it's a dodgy question.
Put it in the chat.
It's just for fun. Just for fun.
Put in the chat, see if anybody actually. I think is a good representation of actual search volume. If it's got impressions, you're on page 1, and you can see in Search Console. That's a good indicator that people are searching for it.
Okay, well, Chris has got the first one in. I don't know what question bloggers is answering, but
Not 5 months. That's the wrong answer.
oh, hang on, we've got people. I guess they're watching it a bit later. 000. I know now. I don't know which question they're answering. Yeah, it could be. Okay, we've got Sam says 2,100, 6,000. Daniel says 1,000, 5,000, 1,000. Eleanor 400, 150. Balagan says 7,000, 5,000, 15,000. Haha. And under 100.
Okay, what's your guesses, Mark?
This is impressions from this is impressions, right? From a random website that we don't know what it is, and might get some impressions. I don't know. So they're all going to be pretty good, I imagine, or better at least. So I would say definitely the bottom one is going to get the most impressions of the lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It depends on the website. Oh, okay, 2,000.
Why do you keep saying it depends on the website? It could be any website. If they had a piece of content that targeted these keywords, and these keywords, according to Search Console, was in position 1 to 9, so they're on page 1.
Okay, so you've got the data from the ones that are on. Okay.
So all 3 of these, I've got the data on page 1. So if we can essentially assume that the impressions mean that's the amount of
okay. I didn't realize you had the one to the front page, first page data. I thought it was just like any impression.
No. First page impression. So in essence, we can guess that means that's the true monthly search volume. Because if it's on page 1 and it had an impression, that means someone searched for it.
Okay, so we'll go for fighter pilots 2,000, hemorrhoids 200, average age of a Navy pilot 500. So 500, 200, 2,000.
Let's look. No. But it's still a lot higher than you think, right? So, so these are clicks. So in the last 30 days, these are the amount of clicks it's driven. So not a ton of clicks, but you can have a look at the average search position. So 4.4, 9.
There's impressions on the graphic.
Yeah, but the impressions, I think, is the main part of takeaway of this, right? So Ahrefs says no people per month and 0 people per month are searching for average age Navy pilots, but 225 people searched or served an impression in the last 30 days. 181 for another 0 search volume, and 685 people searched for how old are fighter pilots when Ahrefs shows 0 search volume, or 10 people clicking per month. I think this is just, I don't know. I thought this was really interesting because it just goes to show that the data in Ahrefs is not always right. And this is the power, I think, of 0 search volume keywords. People are not answering these types of queries, or not including this type of content, because tools are saying there's nobody searching from, there's no opportunity there. But in reality, there's massive amounts.
Well, those impressions don't just come from that one keyword either, though, do they?
No, it does. So I in Search Console, that's literally one keyword.
Oh, really? Oh, good work.
Yeah. I know. So it's just that one keyword.
Nice.
But, I mean, on the other side, then, the clicks are not super impressive. Like, in the last 30 days, those 3 keywords have driven 58 clicks, which I've got. This was my GIF, impressive, right? With old Leonardo doing the glass chink. But what happens if you cluster lots of them together? Now, those on their own, so these on their own were just 3 of the terms that were on this one page. So all these belong to one page. If you cluster lots of these questions together, this is the same page that all those terms belong on, but this is all of the terms on that page. And you can see over the last 3 months, that one page where all it goes after is 0 volume and low volume search terms drove 2,000 clicks for this website, 56,000 impressions. So the opportunity here is not so much in looking at them as individuals, but as clustering them together in groups of highly tightly related questions and keywords. and then covering that in a single piece of content, in a long form piece of content. And that's what this one page shows you.
Nice.
And this is how you do it. And this was another GIF. I was going really GIF heavy. You're going to learn today.
We've got to learn today.
You're going to learn today. So step one is to extract thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, as many as you can, questions from Google's People Also Ask box. And you can do it a very tediously manual way where you Google them all and try and open the little boxes, or you can gather seed keywords and Google them. So in this case, this one page was about fighter pilot. So the seed keyword might literally be fighter pilot, and you Google the word fighter pilot, and then you use a free Chrome extension called SEO Minion. And what that does when it installs it is adds a little box to the right-hand side of the SERP. And in there, you can select that you want to extract all of the People Also Ask questions. Now, what you might not know about People Also Ask questions is when you Google them, you've got typically 3 or 4 questions that show on the SERP. But if you open one of them, then another 1 or 2 appear below. And you can keep doing this, and it's almost infinite. You can almost keep going forever. You can keep opening those little tabs, little questions, and more will appear below them. The thing is, it gets less and less relevant to the seed keyword the more you open. So the secret is to go far enough that you get lots of questions, but not to go too far that it just becomes totally irrelevant. So I think the setting that we use on SEO Minion is, let me just have a little look.
While you're doing that, I'll bring up Mr. Bain's question. I found that these long tail keyword queries do better in Bing than in Google. Have you noticed the same? What's Bing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Never look at Bing. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's from an ex-Microsoft person.
No idea.
Yeah, no.
So when you install SEO Minion, you've got People Also Ask, and you've got different levels. We use level 3, which is 10 seconds, and basically what that means is it'll keep opening those questions for 10 seconds. And we find that's kind of optimal for keeping the relevance nice and tight, but also getting enough questions that you can download. And what it'll do is every time you Google a new seed keyword and press download or press go, it'll open up all these questions, and then it'll download it into an Excel sheet. And you've got one Excel sheet for that seed keyword. Then you've got to combine them all into an Excel sheet and remove the duplicates. Now, depending on how many seed keywords you have, this can be really time consuming to open up all the sheets and copy and paste them in. So just a quick pro tip. If you copy all of those Excel downloads into one folder on your desktop, and you open up Excel and you do, let me just pull it up and tell you exactly. In fact, let me share my screen. If you're in Excel and you've got a folder on your desktop with all of the keywords in, if you do go to data, get data from file, and then a folder, click that. And then you say it's in, I don't know, the Zoom folder, you click that and you press open, it'll merge all those files together into one spreadsheet for you. So just a pro tip, instead of going through and manually opening up all the spreadsheets and copying the data, you can just do that. And then in terms of removing the duplicates, this one's really easy. It's literally just use the remove duplicate function in Excel. And you've got a list then. Typically, depending on how many we tend to like to have about 2,000 to 3,000 unique questions at this point. If you don't have that amount, then you probably haven't used enough seed keywords at the starting point. So go back and find more.
I think Chad's pointed out your mistake. Should be people also ask rather than people possibly ask.
Yes, people also asked is the right one.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about this? Sam has it running on 8 hours overnight.
How does that work? I mean, you mean 8 hours for one query?
I guess so.
I do a short 10-minute run together. You must be doing something totally different, because the one that we use runs for 10 seconds.
Oh, you can't have an overnight one. Yeah. Add some more to the add more, Sam, to let us know what you're doing with it, and if it is SEO Minion, and what you do with those 8 hours worth of PPAs.
PPA. The next step. So you've got your spreadsheet, and you've got your couple of thousand questions in there. The next thing you need to do is cluster them together. And I see people talking about clustering like as if it's a really, really complex topic in different Facebook groups, and I never really explain in simple terms. And all it means is grouping the keywords together by relevance. Like, are they related? Are they relevant? And then you group them together, and that's your cluster. And you can do this manually. It's really, really hard and time consuming. If you want to do it manually, you have to go through and try and say, well, this one belongs here and this one belongs with this one. Or, I mean, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but you can use a tool. And there's a couple out there. Our favorite and the one that we use mostly if we're going to do this type of research is called Keyword Cupid. And it's really simple to use. You upload your spreadsheet that you've got into Keyword Cupid, hit go. This can take some time because I think what they do, I think it's more complicated than this, but basically what they do is they Google each keyword and then they look for similar results. And if the results are similar, they group them together in a cluster. So if you've got a couple of thousand keywords that you need them to Google, then the report can take quite some time to finish, I guess, for them to run that. But once it's done, download the clustered report. And then what you're left with basically then is they try and organize it into a primary keyword and then a group of secondary keywords below it, which is great because it kind of gives you the structure of an article. But you need to manually sense check the clusters because on the first run, on the first pass and download, lots won't make sense. There'll be questions in clusters that you think, what is that doing in there? Why is that related? And in all honesty, if you start to think that, then you probably need to remove it from the cluster. And what you end up with is primary keyword, and then typically a group of anything from 2 or 3 to 7, 8, 9 questions that are related that people are searching for typically because it was in the people also asked box that you can then include typically as subheadings. So it even makes up a nice structure for the article. You've got your primary keyword, primary heading, which becomes the title, and then you've got your sub questions, which become the subheadings and the H2 tags within the piece of content. So it's nice. You don't even have to go and do content briefs. Essentially, you've done right at this point. You already have that once you've manually sense checked the clusters. And then the last step, and this is one of the most important steps, and it's also one of the most time-consuming steps. And because it's the most time-consuming steps, I think a lot of people just like skip over this and it's overlooked. There's no point creating a piece of content as a subheading on your article if when you Google it, Google is showing it to be a standalone piece, because you're never going to rank and compete with 200 words of content as a subheading when Google shows up standalone pieces of content. Like, it's never going to work. And the same the other way around. You've got a standalone piece of content around a topic and you Google it and it's all the top 10 results are part of a bigger piece of content. You're never going to rank because you've got the intent wrong. It's not what Google is wanting to show. So to do this, you Google the primary keyword from each cluster. So you Google that title keyword, check the SERP results to ensure that Google is showing the same intent content. And by intent content, I just mean, are they showing other pieces of content, standalone pieces of content that have the same title or answer the same question? If they have, awesome. Then you've got that as a title, a green light for that piece of content. If they don't, then you either remove it or you try and manually add it to another cluster that makes sense. So you can go back through your list and think, well, this is actually part of a bigger piece of content and it should sit as a subheading on Y piece of content instead. So this one is so important, and I can't emphasize enough that it takes a lot of time. But in order to make this work, this is probably one of the most important steps that you need to do. Because if you get this wrong, then you're just not going to rank. Or you might, but it's a 50-50 chance. Either you've matched the intent or you haven't, and you're not going to rank on the ones where you haven't matched the intent. So does this really work though? So all that sounds nice, and all that in theory sounds great. You've got thousands of questions which typically have 0 to no search volume, and you cluster them together, and you use Keyword Cupid, and you've got the article structure lovely, and you write a ton of content, and you put all this effort into it. But does that really work? And the answer is, as old Trumpy says, I think it's going to work out fine. This is our case study. We did this website for a customer, launched back in August 21, so it's about 10 months old. these are the stats from the beginning of the kind of presentation. So it's a brand new domain, fresh domain, launched with 150,000 words of content, 163 posts. One thing to mention on here, you can see there that means some of the pieces of content were less than 1,000 words. Typically, if you're answering like a primary title and like 2 or 3 questions, you're not going to have, there's not going to be enough to write about for a 1,000 word piece of content or 1,200 words piece of content. It might be an 800 word piece of content. And the ones with more questions might be a 1,200 word piece of content. So as a general rule of thumb, like if you're doing this kind of thing, we typically try to think of 200 to 300 words to answer the primary question as the opening paragraph, and then 200 to 300 words for each question that you're going to answer below. So if you've got your primary question and three subheadings, 3 subheading questions, probably going to be about 800 words. If you've got 4 questions, and it's going to be 1,000. If you've got 5 or more, it's going to be 1,200 plus. And yeah, you can see the site took quite some time to gain traction. And I think it's more so because it's a fresh domain. Whether you believe it or not, there's still kind of that sandboxing period, I think. The first 6 to 8 months on any kind of fresh domain, it's really hard to get traction. But once it started to take off, you can see the growth there has been nice now over the last couple of months, and it's just crossing 1,000 page views per day. There's been no other additional content added. It's literally launched and then left.
That was all added at once, was it, at the start, that 150,000?
Yeah, it was launched with 150,000 and then it just left. The client's now seen this and it's like, oh, awesome. What's next? How do we do more of this? Because I think he put into his Ezoic account as well and just kind of forgot about it. And then he came back recently. He's like, site's making me decent amount of money every month now. Like, where do we go next? How do we double down now? So yeah, I think we might have an update in the next 6 months where we've done more work to this website. But literally, there was nothing added, no link building, no additional content. It was just launched with the content up front.
Yeah, nice.
And you can see in Search Console as well, nothing really for the first couple of months, and then some nice exponential upward growth here. And like I say, this is 163 pieces of content where there's literally, we didn't target anything with search volume. It's either 0 search volume, doesn't appear in Ahrefs or SEMrush, or it's got like 10 or 20 searches per month according to those tools.
Was that the goal outright of this, or was it just the niche? Was that the goal of this site, that we were going to target, just purposely target 0 search volume, or was it just the niche kind of lend itself to?
It's a bit of both. The niche definitely lent itself well to that, but also it was a fresh domain, and we had to go after low keyword difficulty keywords. And we'd done a site like this prior before, and it worked out quite well. So when they approached us, we're like, this is the strategy we should use. We've done this before. We've seen some really good early results. You want to do it on a slightly bigger scale, more content. Let's do it. And the niche is great for these type of question and answer based keywords.
Nice.
I feel like that. Well, that's the end of it, but we're really early. We're only halfway through the stream, so I hope people have got questions. I really want people to put questions in, or
we've got a few more things. Here. So Sam's clarified a little bit more about his use. So runs level 5, says 2 minutes, actually run 10, and then I do 8 levels overnight. It says about 6 hours, but it's longer. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize. Just going on, I didn't even realize you could go to level 8 6 hours. How relevant are the questions that you get back then?
He answers some more here. I got around 700 from my last C keyword, but it doesn't work in incognito mode, and you have to have a new window open and not let screensaver kick in. And then
Sam's a girl, by the way.
Oh, did I say he?
Yeah.
It could have been. Oh, okay. I didn't realize. Okay. You do also get lots of duplicates, but I use that as an extra column of info because you then know which PA comes up more often from other parents. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. But how relevant, Sam, if you let it run overnight for 8 hours? Because in my experience, if you let it run for more than kind of 20 seconds, the questions start to get really far away from the seed keyword. Like 8 hours, how relevant are they? Or do you just get random stuff that's nothing to do with what you're looking for then?
Jan's got a question. How often do you have FAQs in your articles?
More often than not, I think.
Mm.
Sorry, you're going to say something.
No, I was just going to ask you, like, 'cause I know you're closer to the keyword research team at Niche Website Builders. I wondered, like, how frequently that kind of comes up. I mean,
Yeah.
go for it if you've got something to.
In our, like when we do our Tomb Raiding SEO research and we write that piece of content, we almost always try and include FAQs because that's our way of making the content better than the piece that we are Tomb Raiding. In this case, I mean, you could class this whole article as an FAQ article because it's just made up of questions, like all of the subheadings are questions. So this, you can almost view this as every piece as an FAQ.
Yeah. Well, we do just do FAQ content. That's kind of the service that we offer, which obviously they're all 100% FAQ. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't do it enough on my own sites. Like I know, and I tend to use it to, okay, like I need to improve this one because I'm on page 2, so I'm going to add some FAQs to it rather than thinking of it from outset. But I like the fact that I've got that tool to improve as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably should do it more. Really good for Sam so far. Maybe try it longer.
Yeah, maybe
you missed the checkbox that says stay on topic. Hang on, this is a question here. I think is that if that was your site, would you continue adding content to the site or repeat the strategy on more sites?
Yeah, I would continue adding more content. I've also done link building as well. Like one of the things we talk about often is this site is on a great trajectory now, but it's the target for other people to come in with a higher authority website and take the same ideas and the same content structure and make it slightly better and outrank you with domain authority. So, if this was my site, I would have definitely done more link building as well. So we'd have a better point of authority. And then that also opens up the possibility for different types of keyword research and different types of content strategy. When you've got more authority, then you can do tomb raiding, or you don't have to stick to the really low keyword difficulty kind of topics. Then you can go after some more higher search volume stuff. Even though we proved that you don't have to, you can still do that if you wanted to.
Yeah. Has the content for that ran out of questions? Yeah. Did you exhaust all the questions, or was there more?
There's definitely more. So there's more of sub niches within the same overarching topic. So I definitely think within like the specific place you're in, there's very few. Like I don't think there probably isn't any specific questions to do more of that, but there's definitely other areas of the broader niche that you could definitely do questions about now going forwards.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, we are a little bit early, but carry on asking questions if you have any, and we'll pick them up. In the meantime, we have 35 likes for the stream, so we're already there.
People love my presentation.
41 people on stream right now, which is good. So yeah, it's getting better. We're definitely picking up. We're definitely seeing more 40 people or 40 plus people on the stream the last few days. So last week. So okay. Before we jump into that. Oh, actually, yeah. So we're going to do the draw for merch. So if you've got a question, not if you've got a question, if you want to be in the draw for merch, then type something in the chat window now. Doesn't matter what it is. And just the way YouTube works, we won't get your name unless you type something in the chat window now. So do it, and we'll put you into the draw. In the meantime, we've got a couple more questions flown in from Chris. Didn't you guys have a case study where tomb raiding got a better traffic return than just zero volume stuff?
Yeah, definitely. It's a different type of strategy and different type of site. So you can't use tomb raiding SEO on a brand new fresh domain. The whole premise of tomb raiding is that you look for sites with lower authority that are doing well. If you start them with zero zero authority, you can't find those competitors essentially. So yeah, if this was on an age domain, then we probably would have gone tomb raiding, but it's still a legit strategy that you can use on sites with higher authority as well. It's not one way is better than the other. It's just a different method, a different strategy. Yeah. And they're all good. Like there's no one better than the other, I don't think. It's just how you implement them and you decide when to use what strategy at which point, like what point of the life cycle you are with your website.
Sure. Cool. How does search intent play into this? Do you judge search difficulty when a search term may have similar terms that bigger sites have already covered?
Yeah, so this comes back to that kind of thing where you search for the primary keywords, and the main thing you want to look for, like the ideal situation, is where Google returns. Say for that example that to fight to pilots get hemorrhoids. Say that was the primary keyword. If you Google that and the results on page one, or the majority or some of the results on page one, are standalone pieces of content or forums or Quora where people are asking specifically that question, or the articles are tailored specifically around answering around that question primarily, like it's the title of the article, it's the primary intent of what's being served back, then that's great. Like that's awesome. Sometimes you see that you Google it and it's part of a bigger piece of content, and in that case you don't want to write your standalone piece of content. You've got two options, and you can either just get rid of it from your list and think, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to create, I definitely want to create a standalone piece of content on this. Or you can think, so I'm just going to remove it from the list. Or you then try and manually figure out, well, in the rest of the clusters that I have, where would this piece sit? And that's really hard to do. Like we use Keyword Cupid to do a clustering for a reason, because it takes away a lot of that manual thinking and guessing, if I'm honest, because Keyword Cupid uses Google to figure out what those clusters should be. Like if we were to try and figure it out, we would just be guessing based on, well, I think hemorrhoids might be related to how often the pilots take a toilet break or something like that. I don't know if that was something else in there, but you'd just be guessing. So, if you are struggling with that, I would say just, if you come across that, just remove it from your list and move on to the next one where the opportunity is better.
Ryan. Yes.
Yeah. So some pieces of content we do add FAQ schema. Some pieces we don't. I think FAQ schema used to be more important. It was more prominent in the SERP results, where you used to get 4 boxes of FAQs. Google reduced it to 3, and I think they've reduced it to 2 now as well. So that advantage, or the bigger advantage you used to get for adding FAQ schema, is reduced. I think one of the benefits of adding schema, especially a FAQ schema or any schema, is that you can then break down the results in Search Console by search type. So you can click on search type and you can see like the results each schema have. For certain spaces, like schema is almost like it's critical. So for example, if you are in the food space, you are going to struggle if you don't have recipe schema, for example. So I think it depends on the space. Most niches that we work in, it's not a requirement, but if you're in the food space, for example, then you definitely need some type of schema.
Cool. Oh, hang on. I've got a few of the same ones here. Don't think I missed any. Okay. Nope. Awesome. Okay. Great. Shall we do the draw?
Yeah.
Should we get some music going?
Mm-hmm.
Let me share the what you could win. So if you're new, we have some merch. We've got some merch. We've got t-shirts, lots of different colors of t-shirt. Cool logos, logos. Wonderful mugs, and also caps. So if you win, let us know what you want and we'll get it sent over to you. So should we do the draw then?
Do it, man. I've got the music ready and primed.
Hold on then.
Going for a bit of future pop today. Feels like a Friday, so.
Just on that again. That's right. Come here.
Oh.
Oh, what's it? Okay. Here we go.
Ready?
Right, ready? Are we ready? Oh, hang on. Let me take these subtitles out. Yap or Jan. Just Yap. That must be by a pixel. Congratulations, Yap. Should we run a second one? Is it such a
Yeah, go on
day
then.
and it feels like Friday? Looks like it might be one of the Chris's.
Be Benji's dad, Chris.
Awesome. Congratulations, Yap and Chris. Head over to nichewebsite.builders website and hit us up in the chat or in the contact form. And yeah, we'll give you a choice of what you want and we'll get it sent over to you. So
also hit us up on the chat on the website if you guys got any like topics you want us to cover. We try and pick interesting topics and try and pull out interesting data for you guys. So we've got access to lots of data. So if there's something that you want us to look at or cover, or within the realm of reason, right, we'll try and pull something interesting together for a stream. So hit us up on the chat, go to the Niche Website Builders website and send us a message.
Sure. Yes, Carl. That's why we stopped talking to you, Carly. Yeah, send a t-shirt. We do. Anybody else? Send your pictures of your t-shirts. We need more pictures of people in merch, holding up your mug or whatever.
I feel a bit stalkerish. Keep messaging people saying, "Send me photos."
Send photos.
Send photos. Well, yeah.
Awesome. Anything else to add before we go? It's an early one today. It's an early bath.
Yeah. I don't know. Can I have a cup of tea now before my next call? Maybe I want to have a cup of tea. Maybe get a little snack. Get some popcorn.
Popcorn. Wow.
I bought some popcorn from the shop earlier. I've been thinking about it all day. It's like sweet pop. I usually get sweet and salty, but sweet popcorn, and I just can't stop thinking about it. And now is a dangerous time because usually I'll keep it for when Jess comes home, but she's not here. So if I eat it all myself now and then I'll hide it in the bin outside, she'll never know.
She'll never know you have popcorn.
She'll never know. And then I can eat it all myself. So,
except when she's watched the live stream later, right? She watched the replay, then she'll know.
Oh yeah, avid fan. Yeah, she loves this stuff. She doesn't even know what I do for a living. So,
just think you should talk to yourself up here.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks again, everybody. Next week's show. I should have talked about that. So next week's show we have. Where's the tabs gone on that one? Oh, okay, that's fine. So next week on Tuesday we got H Domain Tuesday, and we are going to do a couple of domain teardowns and have a Q&A. Hopefully with some guests. So if you're interested in coming on to the live stream, we'd love to hear your stories. If you've got anything to tell, big or small, we'd just like to have you on the stream with us. So just to share your journey. So that's on Tuesday, same time, same place. And then on next Thursday is the other website investing show. Same time, same place again. We're going to talk about why internal linking is so important. And that's the topic for the day. Plus an announcement as well. So don't miss that one.
What's the announcement? Well,
I'm not going to, it's an announcement. Yeah.
Do I know the announcement?
Even you don't know. Yeah, you might. You do know the announcement. You just not. Yeah, sure.
Oh,
yeah.
I do.
And the Niche Lifestyle Show next week is over on Doug Cunnington's channel. So you subscribe over there. If you've not tuned into the Niche Lifestyle Show before, you can sign up. Well, we rotate that as a show. It's more of a show where we talk about making money. We're talking about happiness a lot lately. Happiness, making money online, and just lifestyle more than actually getting into the nitty-gritty of technical stuff like we did today. So next week, we rotate it on Doug's channel and Alex at WP Eagle and our own. Next week's on Doug's channel, and we're going to talk about why some people are successful online. So that's an hour earlier than today's stream. So yeah, join us over there on Doug's channel next week too. Otherwise, you can't you can't announce what an announcement will be. Who will come to the announcement? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, come to next week's show, and you'll hear the announcement too. Don't get too excited. Well, get excited. I think get excited, but yeah, we think it's exciting anyway. All right. Okay. Thanks very much, everybody, and we'll catch you next week. Have a great weekend. In the meantime.
Awesome.